Hello, beautiful people. When I say it's been a minute, it's definitely been some decades. Because when we say it's been a minute, it really has been a minute. More than a minute, rather. But I wanted to get on here. I have a little time, but I did want to share something quickly, just as a reminder, but not just a reminder, but also encouragement. And to be honest, I will say what I want to share is even bigger than that. It really is a warning. And so, since it wanted to press record, I didn't get a chance to pull up my notes. So I am pulling that up. Bear with me, please. But how y'all doing? My name is, let me reintroduce to you guys who I am, actually. For those that don't know me or have not heard of me. For starters, my name is LaHaya Johnson. I go by, or have been going by, Leah for many of years. But my name is actually LaHaya. And of course, if you spell it, it will make sense. Lehia. I am the creator of A Healthier Way, and basically what that is a movement to help encourage, inspire people that are looking for ways to create a healthier lifestyle through their mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. And I've been away for a while. Various reasons why. But one of the biggest reasons is that I have relocated. I am no longer a resident of Illinois. That's where I was born and raised. God had been doing some work in me for the last few months. And so with that being said, I had to kind of readjust to the new environment that he's brought me to. And then also there was a couple of roadblocks, mountains and valleys as well. So we'll get into that. I have so much content that I look forward to sharing, but I wanted to talk specifically today about contracts. Okay. So let me just be really transparent. I just recently moved. And in the process of moving, for those that have had to move in general, whether you stayed in the same city or state or relocated, you have to basically finalize the itinerary for moving, correct? You have to hire a moving company. You have to make sure there is things in place if you need to transport a vehicle, and then you also need to make sure that there is people available, such as helpers, movers, all of that. The list goes on and on for so many things that you need to do in order to prepare to move and transition. One of the things that unfortunately that I had experienced was not having as much expertise and knowledge on different criterias when you are looking for a particular moving company. This is funny, but it's not funny. I was in search of a mover, and with that, of course, again, those that understand, it can be stressful. Just because you want to make sure you have the right company, you're hiring the right professionals for your items. You don't want a company that's just going to come in and ransack things, not take care of your delicates, all of that. And so when you're trying to handle that aspect, making calls, all of those things, checking the boxes, if this particular company offers this, etc., what's included with the service, right? And so there's a sales tactic, of course, because everyone is marketing their company. So they are pulling you in as much as they can, and you have to be very careful. Number one, is this the particular company that is not only best for me financially, but can I see myself doing business with them, maybe future tense, or maybe even referring their services? So it's not just necessarily about you, but it's also about those things as well. And so as I was going through, these companies and getting these quotes, and oh my goodness, they will blow you up. So my phone was ringing nonstop and text was ringing nonstop, so it was just it became overwhelming, needless to say. And so as I kept going through trying to figure out and sort out, I honestly had to take a moment and say, Lord, I need you to guide me, because I want to make sure that I can connect with the right person, and I can make sure that this particular company is going to not only accommodate my family, but that I would feel at ease during the transition. Sad to say, there are so many scammers out here. There are so many people that are doing false advertisement, people that are literally creating LLCs, and they really don't have legitimate businesses. Unfortunately, these are the times that we are in. We are in a very serious times where business ain't business no more. Okay, it just ain't making sense. What seems to make sense is not making sense anymore, and what's not making sense seems to make sense. You get my drift? That's just the world we're in right now. So in this state of my life, I am going to the Father with everything that I can think of, because He knows all things. Why not go to the source that knows all things? So at this point, I'm just praying, and I'm just like, I need you to guide me. Then I have to consider the time frame. If I book at this particular time, then what happens is I give myself more time for possible cheaper price. And then, of course, making sure the availability is available for the items being dropped off that's going to align with the same time that I'm moving in. You know what I mean? So it's so much logistics that you got to go through. Long story short, okay, I hired this company. And, initially the guy expressed a lot of things to me that I was like, okay, he's definitely checking the boxes, but my goodness, this price is a little bit steep. I want to make sure that I'm staying within my budget, but I may pay a little bit extra for a peace of mind, right? And so at this point, I have him at the top of my list, but I'm also checking around just a little bit more, just because, especially as a woman, I want to make sure that I'm not being taken advantage of, and that I have the discernment when it comes to making a right decision. And most of the calls, unfortunately, and no shade to the men, but they're men, if they hear, if they're not working in the right motives, I should say that, because I will not definitely bash all men. But if these particular agents, okay, are not working in the right motives, then unfortunately they will take advantage of women. So we as women have to be very, very careful. And I can't call my dad up and be like, can you make these calls? And I have to make sure I can handle my business and be able to stand strong and walk in the authority that God has given me, in spite of what difficulty I may come against. So I basically had a couple of other options, and it basically was like, I think I'm gonna go with this one, because I want to try to support this particular company. They're a small business, just starting out. I know what that looks like, especially as me being a very, very new entrepreneur. So of course I want to support that, right? And again, back to me going to my father, my main father, not my earthly father, but my main father, and saying, hey, let me know if this is not the one to go with at this point. And I was a little saddened because the company that I initially had found, and I was like, okay, this is at the top, but it was a little bit more pricey. I had to call and break the news. Have you ever had to call and break the news and you felt like, man, I'm disappointing this person because I know they were looking for my service or whatever that may have been, and now I have to let them know that I do not choose them. So now you're like, I don't want them to feel rejected, right? That's a whole nother segment as we'll get into later on as it relates to rejection. And so, of course, me being very discerning of spirits, I feel this heaviness of this person being rejected because I cannot utilize their service. But I had to let them know. I had to be honest. And I didn't want to mislead them or lead them on. And to be honest, I didn't want them to keep calling me, okay? But I tell them that, and kept it moving and decided to move forward with this small, new and upcoming moving business. And it wasn't until the day that we were going to make the transaction financially, deposit wise, when I asked a couple of questions, which were just simple questions as it relates to me wanting, again, a peace of mind. Will I be able to have all of these things documented, some form of invoice, something of a breakdown showing your business, something. I think it's only fair to show your customers, your clients, some form of receipt. And they expressed that they were not willing to do that. And the story goes on and on, but long story short, I had to decline their service because they were very unprofessional and very disrespectful, needless to say. Again, as a new and upcoming business owner, I am literally applaud when I meet people that unfortunately have went through the development process to really learn how to do business. Customer service is very important. I'm not going to say that the customer is always right, but what I will say, it is your job to make sure that you can implement those needs for that customer. And if you cannot say that, don't try to, overcompensate if that's not something that you're equipped to do. Moving on. I had to let that particular company go due to the unprofessionalism and the disrespect that was shown upon myself. So here I go now, having to go back to the person that I rejected. That's just the truth. I don't know what else to say. That I had to decline their services due to the amount that they wanted to, charge me. And then I had to go back to the reality of, it's going to give me a peace of mind. I've done the reviews on this company. I've seen that it is a legitimate company. They've been in business all these years. It is what it is. As much as I want to save every dollar, that is not going to always be the case for various of situations. And so what ended up happening was I had to call them back. I'll never forget the call because he remembered me and has so much grace with me, and so I thought, right? But then going back to agents, right? The motives, the intentions, the delusion that they will give you. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So he was basically like, hey, if nothing has changed, I already had your quote. We already done the inventory of all the items. We can go ahead and get this processed so we can get you in the system and make sure that your items are going to be shipped to you around that time frame that you need it to be, right? And so I was like, okay, cool, easy breezy, he forgave me, right? Let's get this going. And I finalized everything. So now I'm like, whew, I can breathe and I can work on the other dynamics of this particular move, right? speed it up until the week before the move. I start getting the notifications of just wanting to, clarify the inventory, all of that. So I'm like, okay, they're very thorough, they're very professional. I like this. I still was kind of waiting on a date as it pertained to the actual move or date when a driver would come. So that was a little bit unsettling because I still didn't have clarity as it pertained to that. But how many of us know that there are times and seasons where we're just going to be waiting and waiting and waiting, and we're like, okay, I don't have all the answers, but I trust that it's going to work out. I made my deposit, right? I did what I needed to do, and right now I'm just going to let it go. And so I kind of tried to have that type of perspective with this, although that was even difficult because, again, I've made a big deposit, and I'm investing in this, and at the same time I still don't have all the answers. So that was really, again, uneasy for me, but I try not to get pulled into those emotions and said, okay, God, at the end of the day, I'm trusting you, it's going to work out. And so needless to say, I want to say, was it 3 days? Yes, I believe 3 to 4 days before the move, I get another call. And so they had sent me a notification and basically expressed that they would be giving me a call to do the last inventory check, just to make sure, again, that I didn't add any new items. Things of that nature. If anybody knows about any type of moving company, they look at every inch, square footage, everything. Okay, so if you add one more box, that's an extra, space that they're adding. And so with that being said, that was very annoying, to say the least, but I understand business is business. It is what it is. You want to make sure you got enough room in your truck, all of that stuff. And then they expressed to me about a charge that was going to be charged just because of whatever I initially told them. They expressed that it wasn't lining up. It seemed like it was a little bit more. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really think it's a little bit more. It's really pretty much the same stuff. I think there was maybe 2 more items added. However, there was 2 items subtract. So you would assume that it would be okay, but whatever they were doing, whatever form of calculations they were doing, they basically charged more. I had to kind of deal with a little bit of frustration with that because, of course, when you're on a budget and you're planning to pay just a certain amount, you're not necessarily thinking of that it will go over. So you're holding on to your particular budget and that's it. And it's like, if anything comes out of that budget, you're honestly thinking like, okay, this is all I can do extra of if that happens. Long story short, I end up paying more than I was originally quoted. And it wasn't until the day of the move, I'm getting to my point, but it wasn't until the day of the move that those movers came in with a completely different amount than I was told the second time. So the first time I was originally quoted something prior to them even coming. That was the time of booking. The second time I was, quoted something after the double inventory when there was furniture that was removed and 2 things that were added. That also ended up expressing that this is how much it would be. And then there was a third time that I was told something completely different from the movers themselves. I was not only overwhelmed, but I was disappointed. And the reason why is because I specifically prayed about it. And I was just like, man, God, I asked you to guide me. I asked you to make it clear to me, was this the right decision? Was this the right thing to do? If it's not, the door don't open. My prayers are very detailed with things that I ask for when I talk to the Father, because I'm like, I know but let me say this again. Let me just make it clear, like, and to find out that I had to pay more than I anticipated, I was upset. But here's the reality. The reality was there were other charges that were added, and the truth was I did not read the fine print of the contract. It's very important when you decide to sign something that you be very clear that you have read through, that you have done your due diligence, that you have taken time to gain clarity and understanding before you sign something. Because once you sign that contract, there's no turning back. There's a lot of stipulations, and even if you decide to decline a service, there may also be a possibility that you may not get your deposit back. There are so many different dynamics. You have to be very careful to read the fine print. You guys are probably saying, like, why is she telling us all of this? Okay, we get it. You had a service that really just did not do you well, and unfortunately, they're out there. This is what happens. It could be a lot of you guys saying so many different things, but let me keep it real with you guys. It's more than just this. It is really a bigger picture of contracts in general. People that we don't even realize that we are in agreement with, and they are not good for us. People that we don't even realize that we have signed a contract and didn't know what was going to come with it. And basically all of these different fees and all of these different things that accumulated had a lot to do with me not reading through thoroughly, not doing my due diligence. You know how many people that have came in and out of my life and I have not done my due diligence, or I completely ignored or dismissed the red flags. So this is bigger than just a moving trip. It really has a lot to do with who we come into agreement with, because the damage is done at this point. The movers are here. What am I supposed to do? I can't decline a service because I need the service. I'm moving in a couple of days, right? So although my back feel like it's against the wall, the reality is I signed the contract. There will be many of opportunities that may come our way where we feel like it's a good opportunity, and you have to still be mindful to not sign the contract without doing your due diligence. Make sure you're reading through the fine print. Make sure that you're doing your due diligence when it comes to a season of dating and you're dating someone. Don't just say, oh, I like this person, I'm into this person, and they're this and they're that. Have you done your due diligence and read the fine print about their family, about their bloodline, about who they're connected to, about just different dynamics as it relates to different cycles, patterns? Are they good with finances? How do they act when they're, in an uproar? How will they treat you when things are not going well? We must make sure we are reading the fine print when it comes to signing contracts. When you're choosing to sign a contract, the reality is that you're basically saying, I am in agreement with the terms and the conditions. Come on. So if you are saying you're in agreement with the terms and conditions, then you basically have prepared yourself to be ready for whatever may come. And I was not prepared. I was not ready. And I really had to take some time to really think about that and say, wow, there was something that I missed. And now I'm paying even more than I really should be paying. But I missed this. I want to be able to be in a season where I'm not missing anything, and I'm pretty sure that some of you guys can relate as it relates to that, where you have missed the fine print. And now there's been so many years of unhappiness, so many years of just disappointment after disappointment because you didn't pay attention. You just signed it because in that moment that felt good. The gifts were great, right? The dinners was amazing, right? The trips was extravagant, but you did not get a chance to read through the fine print where this person was going to be like this if you responded this way. they actually had a very seductive, luring eye, and you had no idea that you was going to deal with infidelity in your marriage. There are so many different dynamics where it's like, okay, they just had a little drink. We're just drinking. It's an occasion. It's a social gathering. We're just having fun, and not knowing that you were going to be the one dealing with the behaviors of that person addiction. Or it could just be simply put as, well, they go to church with me, we go praise the Lord together, but not knowing that his perspective, his thinking of the Bible is completely off, because he has the bloodline where he's been brought up in a dynamic dealing with religious people. I say this to say, as not only as encouragement, but also a warning that you must be mindful in this season, in this time, to not ignore the signs. Not only that, if there are signs there, that is probably the big possibility that is not the agreement that you need to be going into. That is not the person that you need to be doing life with. That is not the opportunity that is for you. I don't care how good the numbers are on the table when they're offering this job opportunity, this business opportunity. If you do not read through the fine print, you will then be dealing with years of agony. It's important to pay attention. It's important to not ignore and to not assume that whatever you are dealing with early on is going to be the ending. And the truth of the matter is that when I called back the moving company, of course, naturally he's excited because he's making a sale for the day, right? He's probably going to get that bonus, okay? Because it definitely was a big coin that was spent. Let's just be very clear, right? So of course he's all laugh, giggles, and all of that, right? Just because it's the motive, it's the intention, it's the luring, it's the delusion, It's just important. I'll leave this with saying that before you decide to make any decision moving forward in your life, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, make sure that you take time to pray on it, ask God to reveal to you and to give you confirmation if this is the right thing to do. Again, I say this, I don't care if it's the littlest thing to the biggest thing, make sure that you take time to pray on it. And not only pray and move, pray and wait. And I think that's the reality, that we're living in a time where people are so impatient. And I can understand that. I'm not saying anything that I haven't experienced. I have been in seasons and times where I am just tired of waiting. But why should I wrestle with the Creator who created me, who knows me best and who knows what's best for me? So if that means that he has to connect the dots and align the right resources and the right people and the right moving company, and I need to wait on it, I need to wait on that and just trust that whatever he's going to do, he's going to do, because that's who he is. That's who he says he is. So I'll leave you guys with this. Although I experienced that, I am grateful that I am able to, share this. I think at the end of the day, it's not always going to be one of those conversations that's going to come off as smooth, as easy, as simple. But I have to look at everything that I do, all the choices that I make, how they have connected me with where I'm at and who I'm with and all of those things. There's been times where I've signed the contract and been in relationships that have delayed future endeavor relationships, signed the contract with companies and employers that have delayed the time where I should have been in another space or another field. And time is too valuable, time is too precious for us to waste it being in contracts and being in agreements with people that are not supposed to be a part of our life. So I hope and pray that you will read the fine print. And when I say read, I'm talking about read in your spirit and ask God to give you the gift of discernment. If you feel like that it has not ignited so much, ask Him to give you that, and He will. And that way you're able to make better decisions, better choices, and you won't have to deal with the agony that comes after you've already signed it. So again, I'm Lahia. This has been a segment of A Healthier Way. Look out for weekly videos. I look forward to sharing new content. There are so many more things on the horizon, so make sure that you subscribe, share, give me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think? And have you ever signed the contract that you regretted? You guys be blessed. Have a good day.